This is day 129 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you would like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, it will be very greatly appreciated. Please contact me directly. Today we're doing Siman Tzadik Sif Dalet through Siman Tzadik Sif Yud Tes. I'm obviously in the wrong place. Give me a second here. Yes. Okay. Yudak, Shomrim HaTzibor, when you are together with the Tzibor in person, also like the Tzilas Tzibor, you're allowed to daven before them. If you want to leave the shul in order to do so, unless the time is passing for Zman Tefillah Bein HaTzibor Mispalim, they're not davening, because they are doing so many piyutim. Arukh Hashem, I never see to daven shul, they do piyutim, but I'm sure it was a problem at some place at some time. Also, for another reason, and that it's better for him to go home to daven, unless the hour is oppressive. This happens to me occasionally in Hasidic shuls when they're about to daven, about to mishkia for mincha. Rarely, since I usually don't find myself as Hasidic shuls at those times, but they, in fact, it's a problem. Sometimes the Hasidic shuls, when it's about to pass Mount Tefillah on a weekday, if I have gotten up late, or for some other reason are davening late, and they are about to miss Mount Tefillah as well. So there are times when this is relevant and have nothing to do with piyutim. And the question is what to do then? So if it's shad chukah chad shech beis yavar's man, the aziz pa beis haknes with ne atzmo kodem hatzibor, then you have basically no choice. You have to daven by yourself before the tzibor. Some people say that some say if the time is passing, even if you have time to get home, you still have daven shul. And so you're not allowed to daven prior to their davening, only when they are doing it. They're observing the law by reading the Shema or Tefillah. And the part-time Shemachar is man, and not when they are too late. V'da, we should know the a person who has a weak heart. In other words, he feels weak. So we can down this house, tamid. Always. If they're down in the proper time. Because he is not able to wait, he has to eat. Our base but if he's in shul, also, he's not allowed to daven early prior to them, even under these circumstances. That ups the ante. He's actually sick, or some other compelling reason. Also daven earlier, even though he's in shul. By the time the and the reason is because his illness indicates why he's davening early. The compelling reason is indicative as opposed to weakness of heart, which is feeling weak, which is not so recognizable. Now, we're not talking about starting Hashem's V'sai Tiftach a few moments before the Tzibur, but we're talking about substantial earliness in terms of davening, starting Shema or Shemona Esrei substantial amount of time before them, that it looks like you're being Poresh Min HaTzibur. Which the Bura writes that named Marva Mordechai, that outside the shul, there's no prohibition on davening earlier. It's just not so good because we wasn't feeling with Tzibor. He also writes that the Bach says if you have to finish quickly, such as you're leaving to go on a trip, you should leave the shul and daven in his house. It's possible for Limud Torah also that you can leave the shul and daven in your house, and it seems that way from the Sefer Mamar Mordechai. But there it's talking about, in terms of Tfilas Musaf, perhaps the same thing is true about Shachris as well. Continuing in the Arukh HaShulchan, Tes Vav. What's a Rambam Reish Pereches? Rambam writes, beginning of the 8th paragraph, because Tfilas HaTzibur Shma'as Tamid. The Tfilah of the community is always heard. V'afilah Yubayim Chotim, even if some of them are sinners. And Kosh Baruch Hu Moetzim Zlosim Shel Rabim. Kosh Baruch Hu does not reject the Tfilah of the masses. The Tzatif Atzmi Matzibur, a person has to participate together with the Tzibur. V'lo Yispalah B'yochid, you should not daven as an individual. Calls my children as long as they can down for the tzibur. When I'm recording this, it's the first night Cholamoid Sukkot in 2020, Tavshin Pei Aleph, and of course we're in the midst of resurgence of the coronavirus, and obviously this is one of the extenuating circumstances. At this point, at least in the time where I live in Muncie, there are outdoor minyanim, which you can daven, and minyan with masks. But of course, the Yishmarach Melech takes precedence, and the absence of such precautions, one should of course avoid davening with the tzibur, like the plague, because it is a plague, and daven b'yechidus. So the a person always get up early, yariv, and stay up late. Beis HaKnesses. If we go to shul, shein tefillah nishmas kol eis ela beis HaKnesses. His tefillah is not heard all the time unless he's in shul. It's not heard all the time, but in a shul it's heard all the time. Anybody who has a shul in a city, they know Nichnasi Spaba does not go into dominant with Nikar Shachain Ra is called a bad neighbor. Kav Yachov HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yisib Kol Amar Hashem, so said HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Al Kol Shchinai Hora'im, and all my bad neighbors. You know, Chami Alad Mosam. I'm going to remove them from their land. The Goring goes to Abanov, and he causes goals for himself and for his children. And Chazal say so in brachas, Chalas. Umida Keneged Mida, Ulo Ratzah Lelei Chalicha Krova. It's a kind of Mida Keneged Mida, and that he now want to go a close distance to shul. Yeh Chalicha Rakoka is going to go a long distance into Golos. Yesh Shnei Botei Knesiyos Spear, he has 2 shuls in the city. Yesh Yosef Schar Lo Hechlor Rakoka. There is more reward. You're going to the more distant one. The Mishal Mimlo Schar Psios. He is given reward for the amount of steps he takes. Remember, the River of Ephraim has a tshuva about driving to a further shul. I believe driving to a further shul is also considered to have somewhat of schar p'tios, because you are expending more gas. But I'm not sure how much more. Probably not that much more to make it that much worthwhile. Place the go daven in a shul with more people, it's more of a mitzvah. The Brovam Hadras Melech, when there are many people, that is more glory to the king. Milim Shomet Dabrim Beizat Tefillah, in the larger shul they talk during davening. Mutab Yosper Uspal meaning a cotton. It's made down in a small meaning Makom Shein Dabrim in place where they do not talk. In the brackets here, he brings down Ayin Beretev Sivkon Yinal B'Shem Radbaz Tayoshe Beis HaSurim. It's a famous shul. Somebody who was in jail, and he got permission to daven with the tzibur. He shouldn't wait till Yom Noraim or some special tefillah to daven with tzibur. He should take the opportunity immediately. That's the primary psak. Whatever the Chacham Tzvi asks, the Arukh HaShulchan rejects. Mr. Brura says that the Chacham say that even if there is no minyan in shul, you should still go to shul, because it says stama, a person's davens in shul, his tefillah is more accepted. Prima Gordon is not sure about this. If you daven in your house with 10 people, in any event, you're not called a shachin ra, because anytime there are 10 people, the shechina it devolves. But nevertheless, the concept of davening in a shul, which is a holier and dedicated place, you don't fulfill unless you're davening in a place which is kavua for such holiness. Test Zion. Mitzvah roots Beis HaKnesses is mitzvah to run to shul. The Bezeh Mara shows a mitzvah b'cheshek v'ratzon nimratz. It shows that you are doing the mitzvah with yearning and with a strong desire. V'chein l'chol dar mitzvah is true about any of our mitzvahs. Shneimar v'nir defol adas es Hashem. Let us pursue, in other words, run to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Pasuk in Hosea. V'lo yirutz ela pesel Beis HaKnesses. Don't only run until you get to the opening of shul. L'mishnechas Beis HaKnesses lo yirutz. Instance you're in shul, you should not run. Not proper respect for shul. You should go with fear and trepidation. Somebody is about to go in front of a king. Shabbos you have the mitzvah to run the shul. I'm sure still for the sub see a gossip of Shabbos, even though you're not allowed to take broad steps, in other words, to run on Shabbos. And on a weekday also so not because of covered Shabbos, obviously, because it takes away 1/500th of one's eyesight. I don't think that's literal, but that is the way the Gemara expresses itself. You come called the var mitzvah mutter, nevertheless, for the purpose of a mitzvah, it is permissible. The shomar mitzvah and some of you know who's doing watching to do a mitzvah or is eager to do a mitzvah, you will not know anything negative from that. I'm not sure this applies to a person who has chas v'shalom, a heart condition where he's not supposed to run, but it applies to somebody who is in reasonable, tolerable, good health. When the person moves shul loyarutz, you should not run, and not go with broad steps. I'm not sure the difference is. I guess broad steps is like a hasty walk as opposed to actual running. The Melech looks like you're happy to leave. She also makes a masui, and you're being in shul is a burden. Even if it was a burden, that's a lot of chazonas. Still, when you leave shul, you can't demonstrate it was a burden. So slow to show that it's difficult for them to leave the shul. You know, because we're going in order with the assumption he's going to come back, so that he can run. Because somehow it is evident to everybody that he's running in order that he should be able to get back quickly. We're going from the shul to the base medrash, mutzal arutz, the kedushas base medrash, glom kedushas base knesses, because the kedusha of a base medrash is greater than the kedusha of a shul. The Mishnah Berurah writes that the main running, which is positive, is when he's near the shul, because then it's indicative that he is doing it for the purpose of the mitzvah being in shul. People writes in Shachris in the morning, when you're going to talis and filling in your hands, then it's always it's always recognized when shul, even from the moment you leave your own house. Nevertheless, in a street which is primarily non-Jewish, don't run because it makes you look weird. Yud Zayin, mutar l'ruk beis haknesses, you're allowed to spit in a shul. Avagad the mikdash also l'ruk up, as I say, even though the beis hamikdash is forbidden to spit, even mizman hazeh, who will want to be allowed to go into the beis hamikdash, into the Har HaBayis. You come nevertheless, the beis haknesses mutar, and a shul is permissible. Come on. Now, just like shoes, the mikdash also, basically you can't walk with shoes. Steve Shala Necho, we learned from Moshe Rabbeinu in the snare, move the shoes. Beis HaKnesset mutar, we allowed to wear shoes in the shul. As a matter of fact, to those who say, I forget who it is, maybe the Ran, that you're not allowed to move your shoes in shul today, because that's the minute of the Muslims. But anyway, back to the Arukh HaShulchan. It's only at the time of davening. Not at the time of davening. But Shas at the time of davening, lo yaruk, you should not spit. KTS says davening l'rok. What you should do if you have saliva that you cannot swallow, use Bible Simon Tzaddik Zayin, will be explained much later on. Yesh Mishum, some say the Kamoshi is bar sham, that's going to be explained there. Dili mino fanab asli l'rok. You're not allowed to spit in to your right and in front of you, and the small achrab to the left or in back of you. So too at a time which is not the shas atfila. Okay, you also have these limitations. It doesn't seem that way from the language of the shas and poskim. It's then certainly sure that you should, if you're going to spit, it should be gently. I'm not sure. There must be a better word than gently, but you get the idea. And not like spit out to a distance, which is arrogant. And the spittle, you rub it in with your leg. Or cover it with sand or with reeds. This is a very great obligation anywhere you go. So somebody else should not see your saliva and be disgusted by it. Like it says in Chagiga, God will bring into judgment everything which is sin and Zarok. This is referring to somebody who spits in front of his friend, but Nimaz Ba. And the friend is disgusted by Ayin Shah. Because of Skula, they said a Segula Shalo Yarok, a way to avoid having to spit. So, Skula Shalo Yarok is that the Os Lakritz, excuse me, to chew licorice, Kom Sheil Beis HaKnesses. I don't know. I'm not sure it's black licorice, could be Twizzlers. Pasha says be real black licorice. And then they just realized recently that it's a carcinogen to have too much black licorice, but obviously in moderation it may be an aid, so I don't know people actually do this. Uve Erev Yom Kippur, Erev Tisha B'Av Osur. On Erev Yom Kippur and Erev Tisha B'Av, it's also to chew licorice, even though it's not yet the fast. Shloishar HaMastikus Befiv, that the sweetness should not remain in his mouth. Black licorice, to the best of my recollection, is not that sweet, but evidently it's sweet enough. Shivla Arukh, Yivla Mastikus, Yom Kippur, Yom Tisha B'Av, and this is, and if he's going to swallow his saliva, it's going to be swallowed that sweetness, and that's no good. He says in the brackets, Lias Ruk Mutter B'Tisha Yom Kippurim, Moshkasav Yom Sosi Yom Taksaz, Glokabach, Simon Tariv, Ayin Sham. We are makel to, unless you are a real brisker, we're makel to swallow your saliva on Tisha B'Av and on Yom Kippur. The Yudches. Lo Mashkim Adon LeBeis HaKnesses Kadesh Yom Asar Rishonim. Person always try to be from the 10 first people in Shul. Mishnah says that Rizah was not for the 10 first because he had stomach ailment. And therefore he had to spend extra time in the bathroom. Also, he wanted to go wearing towels and film to shul, and back then, to be that friend there, Asar Rishonim, you had to get up before daybreak in order to be there among the 10 Rishonim, and he couldn't put on towels before there's my towels and fill it. Okay, back to the Arukh HaShulchan. But I feel bo me'acharkach, even once you're from the 10 first, even 100 people come afterwards, note the schar keneged kula. Get rewarded corresponding to all of them. But Tam, and the reason is it came out Kobe Asor Shchinta Sharia. But since whoever 10 people, Shchina devolves, Ushchina Kadma Basoi, and the Shchina comes early, came Shayoda Ba Shchina, and since the Shchina comes, Kedayu Kabas Chakna Kol B'Yim Achrab, it is appropriate for him to get the reward. Corresponding to other people who come after him. Dafka she's filing him. So that's already showing him if you are davening with that minion. You just become as a sorry shiny compete from the Hasori Shainim, don't work. Zohar Mashin the Zohar sounds like all 10 should assemble at the same time. Even somebody who can't be from the 10 first, since if he has to clean himself, etc. Nevertheless, let's come as early as possible. Anybody, the closer one comes, he's closer to the drawing from the Kedusha, when those come afterwards. The test. In the Shara Domichli Beis HaKnesses, the person is remaining as alone in Shul after Marav, Afil B'Shachris, or even in the morning, Shabbos Nes Chutz La'ir, and when the shul is outside the city, if he remains by himself, he's also it's going to become afraid and disturb his tefillah. His obligation on the person, second last person there, not leave shul until after this person's davening is over. Even though he finished davening himself. No, because just like a person is required to do Gemilus Chesed with his money, so he has to do Chesed with his body. There's no greater Chesed than assuring that your friend will not become afraid or confuse his davening. If you waited or Chazal says, if it will be fulfilled in him, how it says Yeshaya, you're like a river, your peace will be like a river, and your charity like the waves of the sea. V'yika chol zarecha, and your descendants will be like the sand. On the other hand, since the other guy's doing the chesed, the guy who's davening should not add on things to Shmoneh Esrei and other supplications. You know, this is just daven where you're supposed to daven. And if you're going to add on supplications, there's a limit. The other guy is not required to wait for you. Some people machmir even in a shul in the city and in the morning. Because a person's heart is more miserable if it remains alone. Those who write the clothes it's only if the mispalel who's tarrying came at the proper time. But some compelling reason compelled him to daven later than the tzibur does. There's an obligation to wait. He came as the other people are ending their tefillah. There's no obligation to wait for him. By coming to shul so late, he revealed that he's not concerned to remain by himself. It's also indicated by the language of the Shas that two people coming to daven. Sounds like simultaneously, Aya and Shom. Nevertheless, Tosfos that brings down in Daf Gimel. Arizal was Tosfos. Who is it on? Tosfos Rabbi Yehuda Chassid. I remember this. Because ultimately a chesed it is, and chesed is the highest value we have in Yahadus.